What's up everyone, welcome back to SwitchTop. Today I'm sharing 25 single-player games on Nintendo Switch that you absolutely need to play at least once. These aren't just good games, they're experiences that will stick with you long after you put down the controller. Let's jump right into our countdown. Axiom Verge is a love letter to classic Metroid games, but with its own twisted sci-fi story. You play as Trace, a scientist who dies in an accident and wakes up in an alien world filled with strange creatures and ancient technology. The game gives you a weapon that can glitch enemies and the environment itself, literally breaking parts of the game world to find secrets and new paths. As you explore, you'll discover power-ups that let you phase through walls, shrink down to fit through tiny spaces, and fire different types of energy blasts. The pixel art looks incredible, and the soundtrack creates this eerie atmosphere that makes every new area feel mysterious. What makes this special is how the glitch mechanic isn't just a gimmick. It's actually how you solve puzzles and progress through the world. The story gets really weird as you learn more about what happened to Trace in this strange dimension he's trapped in. Sifu puts you in the shoes of a young martial artist seeking revenge for your father's murder. Here's the twist: every time you die, you age up and become older, stronger, but also more fragile. You start as a 20-year-old and can age all the way up to 70, where one more death ends your journey forever. The combat is all about timing, positioning, and using your enemy's attacks against them. You can block, dodge, and counterattack, but the real skill comes from learning each enemy's patterns and chaining together brutal combos. The aging system creates this incredible tension where every fight matters. As you get older, you hit harder but take more damage, so you need to get better at the game to survive. Each level takes place in a different location as you hunt down the people responsible for your father's death. The art style looks like a living painting, and every punch and kick feels incredibly satisfying to land.
No way! No fucking way!
Sonic Mania Plus is everything classic Sonic fans wanted. It's the sequel to Sonic 3 that we never got back in the day. The story is simple. Sonic and friends discover mysterious stones that transport them through remixed versions of classic zones plus brand new levels. What makes this game special is how it plays. Sonic controls exactly like he did in the Genesis games, but with modern touches that make everything feel smoother. You can play as Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles, and each character has different abilities that change how you approach levels. The level design is fantastic, with multiple paths through each stage that reward both speedrunners and explorers. The Plus version adds 2 more characters, Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel, who each have unique movement abilities. Every zone has been completely reimagined with new sections, different boss fights, and secrets to discover. It's pure nostalgic joy that works perfectly whether you grew up with classic Sonic or are experiencing these gameplay ideas for the first time. Sanabi is a cyberpunk action game where you play as a retired veteran who gets pulled back into a mission in a city controlled by mega corporations. Your character has a prosthetic arm that works like a grappling hook, letting you swing through the neon-lit city with incredible speed and precision. The story deals with heavy themes about war, PTSD, and corporate greed, but it's told through beautiful pixel art that makes every scene feel like artwork. The grappling mechanics are the heart of the game. You'll swing from building to building, pull yourself toward enemies for attacks, and solve platforming puzzles using your arm as a tool. Combat feels great because you can grab enemies, swing them around, or use your momentum to deliver powerful strikes. Each level is designed around the grappling hook, creating these flowing sequences where you're constantly moving and chaining together swings. The soundtrack perfectly matches the cyberpunk atmosphere, and the story has genuine emotional moments that hit harder because of how personal the character's journey becomes. Rogue Legacy 2 takes the idea of a family legacy and turns it into one of the most addictive gameplay loops on Switch. Every time your character dies, you play as one of their children who inherits the castle that changes layout every generation. Each family member has different traits. Some are colorblind and see the world differently. Others are giant-sized or have ADHD and move faster. These aren't just cosmetic changes, they actually affect how you play the game. The combat is smooth 2D action where you swing swords, cast spells, and dodge enemy attacks while exploring rooms filled with gold and upgrades. Between runs, you spend the gold you collected to permanently upgrade your family's abilities, unlock new classes like mages and chefs, and improve your castle. What makes this special is how every death feels like progress. You're always getting a little stronger, learning enemy patterns, and unlocking new areas to explore. The hand-drawn art style is gorgeous, and the music keeps you motivated even when you're dying for the 100th time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge brings back the classic beat-em-up gameplay of the old TMNT arcade games with modern polish and incredible attention to detail. The story is straightforward. Shredder and Krang have teamed up again and are causing chaos across New York City, so the Turtles need to stop them. You can play as all 4 Turtles, plus April O'Neil and Master Splinter, and each character has different fighting styles and special moves. The combat feels amazing. Every punch, kick, and shell spin has weight behind it, and you can juggle enemies in the air with combos or throw them into each other. Each level recreates iconic locations from the 80s cartoon with incredible pixel art that looks better than the original animations. The game is packed with references that fans will love, but the gameplay is solid enough that newcomers will have just as much fun. You can play solo or with friends, and there's a story mode plus an arcade mode that recreates the classic experience.
I gotta focus.
Blaster Master Zero 3 wraps up the trilogy with the most ambitious entry yet, taking the action both on Earth and into space. You play as Jason, who pilots a tank called Sophia 3, while his partner Eve has been infected by mutant cells that are slowly taking over her body. The game switches between side-scrolling tank combat and top-down sections where you explore on foot with different weapons and abilities. What makes this special is how the two playstyles complement each other. You'll use the tank to blast through tough enemies and barriers, then hop out to explore tight spaces and fight bosses that require more precise movement. The space setting opens up new possibilities like zero gravity levels and planets with different environmental effects. Each planet has its own theme and challenges, from ice worlds that affect your movement to areas filled with electromagnetic storms. The story gets surprisingly emotional as you deal with Eve's condition and make choices about her fate. But just be careful. Super Meat Boy is probably the most challenging platformer on this list, but it's also one of the most rewarding games you'll ever play. You control a little cube of meat trying to rescue his girlfriend Bandage Girl from the evil Dr. Fetus across hundreds of levels that will test your patience and reflexes. The controls are absolutely perfect. Meat Boy runs, jumps, and sticks to walls with pixel-perfect precision that makes every death feel like your fault, not the game's. Each level is a single-screen challenge that usually takes 15 to 30 seconds to complete, but you'll probably die dozens of times figuring out the solution. What keeps you coming back is the instant respawn. There's no loading time between attempts, so you can keep trying new approaches without any frustration. The game has a dark sense of humor with cutscenes that parody classic video game stories, and the soundtrack pumps you up even when you're failing constantly. Bo Path of the Teal Lotus is a gorgeous, hand-drawn platformer inspired by Japanese folklore and mythology. You play as Bo, a fox spirit on a journey through a world filled with yokai and ancient legends. The art style is absolutely breathtaking. Every frame looks like it was painted with watercolors, and the animations are so smooth they feel alive. The gameplay combines precise platforming with combat using a staff that can be charged up for more powerful attacks. As you progress, you'll learn new abilities that change how you move through the world, like double jumps, wall slides, and special attacks that can break certain barriers. The story is told through encounters with various spirits and creatures from Japanese mythology, each with their own personalities and challenges. What makes this game special is how it respects its source material while creating something that feels fresh and modern. The soundtrack blends traditional Japanese instruments with contemporary music to create an atmosphere that's both peaceful and epic. Yoku's Island Express combines two genres that shouldn't work together but create something magical. It's half Metroidvania exploration, half pinball game. You play as Yoku, a dung beetle who becomes the new postmaster on Mokumana Island and gets caught up in an adventure to save the island's guardian deity. Instead of jumping like most platformers, you roll around as a pinball and use flippers, bumpers, and ramps to navigate the world. This sounds weird, but it works incredibly well. You'll use pinball physics to launch yourself to new areas, solve puzzles, and even fight bosses. The island is beautifully hand-drawn with a tropical paradise theme that makes every area feel welcoming and colorful. As you explore, you'll collect fruit to pay tolls that open new paths, find mail to deliver to residents, and discover secrets hidden in clever pinball challenges. The story is lighthearted and fun, focusing on helping the friendly islanders while uncovering the mystery of what's happening to their home. Katana ZERO is a brutal action game that messes with your head in the best way possible. You play as a samurai assassin who can slow down time and see the future, which lets you plan out perfect kills before executing them in real time. The story follows this mysterious warrior dealing with PTSD and drug addiction while uncovering a conspiracy about time manipulation experiments. Each level plays out like a puzzle where you need to figure out how to kill every enemy in one smooth sequence. If you get hit even once, you restart and try again. The gameplay loop is addictive because when you finally nail a perfect run, you feel like an unstoppable killing machine. The pixel art style is gorgeous with neon colors that pop off the screen, and the synthwave soundtrack makes every moment feel intense. What makes this game special is how it uses gameplay mechanics to tell its story. The time manipulation isn't just a cool power, it's directly connected to the character's mental state and the Rayman Legends is hands down one of the most beautiful and creative platformers ever made, and the Switch version includes everything from the original plus bonus content from Rayman Origins. You play as Rayman and his friends trying to save the Glade of Dreams from nightmares that have invaded their world. The platforming feels incredible. Rayman moves with this perfect weight and momentum that makes every jump satisfying. Each world has a completely different art style and gameplay gimmick, from underwater levels where you ride sea creatures to musical stages where the platforms move in sync with the soundtrack. The music levels are absolutely incredible. You'll run and jump through courses that are perfectly timed to songs like Black Betty and Eye of the Tiger. You can play solo or with up to 4 friends, and the co-op is some of the best you'll find anywhere. The game is packed with content, hundreds of levels, daily challenges, and unlockable characters that all play slightly differently. Cult of the Lamb combines two completely different genres, dungeon crawling action and city management, into something totally unique. You play as a possessed lamb who was saved from death by a mysterious deity called the One Who Waits, and now you need to build a cult in their honor while fighting through dungeons to defeat other cult leaders. The combat is simple but satisfying. You use various weapons and magical abilities to fight through randomly generated levels filled with enemies and bosses. Between dungeon runs, you'll return to your cult base where you need to keep your followers happy by building homes, farms, and temples while performing religious ceremonies and giving sermons. The followers have their own needs and personalities, so you'll need to balance keeping them fed and entertained while also making sure they stay loyal to your cause. The art style is adorable despite the dark subject matter. Everything looks cute and colorful even when you're sacrificing followers or fighting horrific monsters. Trails of Cold Steel 4 is the epic conclusion to one of the best JRPG series ever made, wrapping up storylines that have been building for 4 games. You play as Rean Schwarzer and his friends from Class 7 as they fight to save their country from civil war while dealing with personal struggles and the consequences of previous events. This is a turn-based RPG with deep tactical combat where positioning, timing, and team composition all matter. You can link characters together for combination attacks, and the battle system rewards you for exploiting enemy weaknesses and managing your resources carefully. The story is incredibly complex and emotional. These characters have grown and changed over hundreds of hours of gameplay, and seeing their journeys reach a conclusion is genuinely moving. What makes this series special is how every NPC has their own storylines that evolve as you progress, making the world feel alive and interconnected. The voice acting is fantastic, and the music perfectly captures both the epic scope and intimate character moments. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove is actually 4 complete games in one package, each focusing on different characters from the Shovel Knight universe. The main campaign follows Shovel Knight on his quest to rescue Shield Knight from the evil Enchantress and her Order of No Quarter. The gameplay is inspired by classic NES platformers like Mega Man and DuckTales, but with modern design sensibilities that eliminate the frustrating parts of those old games. You can attack enemies by bouncing on them with your shovel, dig up treasure and secrets, and upgrade your armor and abilities as you progress. Each of the additional campaigns, Plague of Shadows, Spectre of Torment, and King of Cards, completely changes the gameplay while telling different parts of the overall story. Plague Knight focuses on alchemy and has a completely different movement system. Spectre Knight is all about chaining together attacks and wall running, and King of Cards adds a card game element. The pixel art is absolutely gorgeous with incredible attention to detail, and the chiptune soundtrack is catchy enough that you'll be humming it for days. Luigi's Mansion 3 takes everything great about the previous games and perfects it with incredible production values and creative level design. Luigi wins a free stay at a luxury hotel, but of course it's actually a trap set by King Boo to capture Mario, Peach, and the Toad. Armed with the new Poltergust G00 vacuum, Luigi must work up the courage to explore every floor of the hotel and rescue his friend. Each floor has a completely different theme. There's a medieval castle, a pirate ship, a movie studio, and more, with unique ghosts and puzzles to solve. The big new addition is Gooigi, a green goo version of Luigi that can squeeze through grates and spikes, which creates tons of clever co-op puzzles even when playing solo. The ghost catching mechanics feel great with new moves like the slam attack that lets you bash ghosts into the ground for extra damage. What really makes this game shine is the incredible attention to detail. You can vacuum up almost everything in the environment, and the way objects react and break apart is incredibly satisfying. Cuphead is one of the most visually stunning games ever made, with hand-drawn animation that looks exactly like a 1930s cartoon come to life. The story follows Cuphead and Mugman, who make a deal with the devil and now have to collect soul contracts from various debtors to avoid losing their own souls. This is primarily a boss rush game. Most levels are challenging boss fights that require pattern recognition, precise timing, and lots of practice to master. The bosses are incredibly creative, transforming through multiple phases with completely different attack patterns and visual designs. There are also some run-and-gun platforming levels that break up the boss fights, but the main attraction is definitely the boss battles. The difficulty is no joke. You will die a lot, but the fights are designed so fairly that every death feels like a learning experience rather than frustration. The jazz soundtrack perfectly matches the visual style and gets your blood pumping during intense fights. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is a complete remake of the classic Game Boy game, and it's one of the most charming adventures on the Switch. Link washes up on the mysterious Koholint Island after a storm and discovers that the only way to leave is to wake up the windfish by collecting 8 magical instruments. The story has this dreamy, surreal quality that makes you question what's real and what's imagination. The gameplay is classic top-down Zelda. You'll explore dungeons, solve puzzles, fight bosses, and gradually gain new items that open up more areas of the island. What makes this version special is the gorgeous toy-like art style that makes everything look like it's made of clay or plastic figures. The tilt-shift camera effect adds to this miniature diorama feeling that's absolutely delightful. There's also a dungeon maker mode where you can arrange rooms from the game's dungeons into custom layouts and share them with other players. The island is packed with secrets, mini-games, and quirky characters that give it tons of personality. Firewatch is a narrative adventure game that proves you don't need action or complex mechanics to create an unforgettable experience. You play as Henry, a man who takes a job as a fire lookout in the Wyoming wilderness to escape personal problems back home. Your only contact is Delilah, another lookout who you communicate with via radio throughout the game. The story unfolds through your conversations with Delilah and the mysterious events you encounter while patrolling the forest. The gameplay is mostly about exploring beautiful wilderness areas, investigating strange occurrences, and making dialogue choices that shape your relationship with Delilah. What makes Firewatch incredible is how real and natural the conversations feel. The voice acting is phenomenal, and the writing captures the way people actually talk and get to know each other. The art style uses vibrant colors and stylized landscapes that make the Wyoming wilderness look absolutely stunning. As the story progresses, you'll uncover a mystery that gets increasingly tense and personal. The Messenger starts as a straightforward ninja platformer, but evolves into something much more ambitious and clever. You play as a ninja tasked with delivering a scroll to save your village from demons. But the simple premise quickly expands into a time-traveling adventure that spans multiple eras. The core gameplay involves running, jumping, and attacking with your sword while using a unique cloud stepping mechanic that lets you jump again whenever you hit an enemy or certain objects in midair. This creates amazing possibilities for chaining together long sequences of jumps and attacks that feel incredibly satisfying to pull off. About halfway through the game, you gain the ability to travel between the past and future versions of the same areas, which completely transforms the level design and puzzle solving. The 8-bit past areas become 16-bit future locations with new paths, enemies, and challenges. VIII Lacrimosa of Dana follows adventurer Adol, who gets shipwrecked on a cursed island filled with ancient mysteries and dangerous creatures. What starts as a simple survival story becomes something much bigger when Adol begins having dreams about Dana, a mysterious blue-haired woman from the island's past. The combat is fast and addictive. You control 3 characters who each have different weapon types and can switch between them instantly during fights. Your party members attack automatically while you control one character, creating this smooth flow where you're always doing damage while dodging enemy attacks. The island exploration is fantastic because you're constantly finding new areas, rescuing other shipwreck survivors, and building up your castaway village with shops and facilities. What makes this game special is how the 2 storylines, Adol's present-day adventure and Dana's ancient past, slowly connect in ways that completely change your understanding of what's happening. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD tells the origin story of the Master Sword and the beginning of the entire Zelda timeline. Link lives on a floating island called Skyloft until his childhood friend Zelda gets pulled down to the surface world below by a mysterious force. Armed with a living sword spirit named Fi, Link must venture to the dangerous surface to rescue Zelda and uncover the truth about an ancient evil. The motion controls have been completely reworked for Switch. You can now play with traditional button controls or use improved motion controls that actually actually work properly this time. The sword fighting feels great because your attacks correspond to the direction you swing, which is crucial for solving combat puzzles where enemies can only be hit from certain angles. Each of the main areas, forest, volcano, and desert, gets revisited multiple times with new challenges and story developments that keep them feeling fresh. The dungeons are some of the most creative in the entire Zelda series, with the ancient cistern and sand ship being absolute masterpieces of level design. Alien Isolation puts you in the shoes of Amanda Ripley, daughter of Ellen Ripley from the movies, as she searches for clues about her mother's disappearance aboard a decaying space station. The station is being hunted by a single xenomorph that can't be killed, only avoided or temporarily scared off. This creates the most tense gaming experience I've ever played because the alien learns from your behavior and becomes smarter over time. You'll spend most of the game hiding in lockers, crawling through vents, and using tools like the motion tracker to avoid detection. The alien isn't scripted. It roams the station freely, using advanced AI that makes every encounter unpredictable and terrifying. You do have weapons and gadgets like flamethrowers and noisemakers, but they're meant for temporary solutions rather than permanent fixes. The atmosphere is incredible, perfectly capturing the retro-futuristic look and feel of the original movie with amazing sound design that makes every footstep and pipe creak feel threatening. Playing this in handheld mode with headphones late at night is genuinely scary in the best possible way.
You know you're dead.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 follows Rex, a young salvager who accidentally bonds with Pyra, a legendary blade with the power to destroy the world. Together, they search for Elysium, a mythical paradise at the top of the world tree, while being pursued by various factions who want Pyra's power for themselves. The combat system is complex but rewarding. You auto-attack enemies while building up arts, special moves, and specials that can be chained together with your party members for massive combo attacks. Each character can equip multiple blades, which are living weapons with their own personalities and abilities that completely change your combat options. The world is absolutely massive, built on the backs of giant creatures called Titans, and each area feels unique with different climates, creatures, and cultures. What makes the story special is how it deals with themes of life, death, and what it means to exist, while still having plenty of humor and heart through the interactions between Rex and Pyra. The side quests are actually meaningful and help develop both your blades and your understanding of the world's lore.
Shot. Ha!
Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is the absolute pinnacle of 2D platforming, combining pixel-perfect controls with the most creative level design you'll find anywhere. The story is simple. Arctic invaders called the Snowmads have taken over DK Island and frozen it solid, so Donkey Kong and friends need to travel through 6 different islands to reclaim their home. What makes this game incredible is how every single level introduces new ideas and mechanics that are used in creative ways and then never repeated. You'll ride minecarts through collapsing temples, swing from vine to vine while dodging saw blades, and launch between rotating platforms in perfect rhythm with the music. Each of the Kong family members has different abilities. Diddy can hover with his jetpack, Dixie can helicopter spin to gain extra height, and Cranky can bounce on spikes with his cane. The level design takes full advantage of these different movesets, creating platforming challenges that require you to think about which character to use and when to switch between them. Those are my top 25 must-play single-player games on Nintendo Switch. Each one offers something completely different, from epic adventures to heart-pounding horror to pure platforming perfection. Trust me, you won't regret playing any of these incredible games. Which one are you most excited to try? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to SwitchTop for more Nintendo Switch content. Until next time!